All right, hey there, folks. Welcome to the Faithful Skeptic. Another episode of yesterday's news, because I figured out that I'm doing today's news, but I'm recording these close to midnight, so it's yesterday's news. So today, I'm going to start off with the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was fired because of some offensive jokes that he told via Twitter in the past. Yeah, I mean, I'm not defending what he said. I skimmed through a couple of things that were shown, and yeah, it's offensive and it's inappropriate. Like, if he was being serious, he should be in jail. But I mean, it's pretty clearly a joke, an offensive joke, but just a joke, and from a long time ago. And and he apologized for making offensive jokes a long time ago. And this whole culture of, you offended me once, now I must destroy your life this has got to go. This is not sustainable. This should have been like, hey, this joke was in poor taste. And he would say, you're right. I'm sorry. It was. And then we go about the rest of our lives, because we all cross lines sometimes. I've told offensive jokes. I've said offensive things without thinking about it, or without really understanding the context, or I was young and brash and trying to be edgy. And I mean, like, if you're going to dig things up from people's past and try to ruin them over inappropriate things they said while trying to be funny and edgy, that's not a safe world to live in, man. That's not a good world to live in. And we got to stop doing that. So if you are offended by somebody, you can call them on it, but don't try to destroy them. Don't fire somebody for being offensive. Creative people are offensive. That's the way it works. So the next thing, so there was apparently a lawsuit brought by some kids about global warming that apparently has been allowed to proceed, which I think that is kind of silly. There was also another article somebody wrote about why global warming fails in the courts, and I'm going to avoid my epic rant about this subject that I always want to get into, but the fact of the matter is the science doesn't hold up. It's a political movement more than a scientific theory. And, look, trying to put it into the courts is just another attempt to use it as an excuse to justify the use of power for somebody's purposes. It's a half-baked crackpot theory to begin with. And the only reason it ever got traction is that it feeds into certain people's quest for power. And this is just one more example of that they're trying to go, they couldn't win in the court of public opinion, so now they're trying to go sue people for doing something that's not a problem and not bad. I mean, there's plenty of things that, the big oil companies have done that are bad, but, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere isn't one of them. And it takes the scientific error that goes into that is at a very, very basic level. And I'm embarrassed of the scientific community for going along with it so much, but so be it. So don't use the courts to push your political agendas, even if you have crackpot half-baked science on your side. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is a little more serious, actually a lot more serious, deadly serious to be specific. A father of two Parkland school shooting survivors I don't know what their actual proximity to the actual shooting was or not, but he worked at he works at a convenience store. I saw the surveillance footage looked like a convenience store kind of place, but he was killed a few days ago in an armed robbery, and I mean, the only reason it's in the news is because of his connection to the Parkland school. But this is something that happens every day. Another thing that happens every day in places very similar to this is people in his position mount an effective armed response. And I'm not trying to say anything he should have or whatever. Just that this is a reminder that life is short and life is fragile and there's bad people out there. And, you can't take life too lightly. You can't take it too seriously either, or you get depressed. But that is this situation. Just watching the security camera footage is the reason that I care about gun rights. It's that here's this guy who's totally powerless. He knows what's coming, and he can't do anything about it. And that I don't want anybody to feel that. I don't want anybody to be left in that position. And one way to not find yourself in that position is concealed carry. It's almost this whole country. There's very few places where it's hard to do. And if you're if you're running a convenience store, a lot of places, like, the laws don't even apply. Like, you don't have to have a permit because you're on private property, so you can carry, assuming you have permission of whoever owns the place. But it takes, you got to take it seriously. You got to train and practice and think about what you do. And it's not always, it doesn't work. It's not 100% every time. There are, I've seen similar incidents where the victim was armed, and they just never had an opportunity to pull their gun without it being, a fast draw competition. You're never going to win that. So, it's still, you can still get caught up, but at least if you're prepared, you can at least go down fighting, or something. Maybe you can distract them and save somebody else. Who knows? But yeah, there's evil out there, and you can't neutralize it. You can't neuter it. It's going to be out there. All you can do is be ready and be able to counteract it when it shows up. So if you're interested in that, I have a second channel called the Sheepdog Union. It's not a whole lot of stuff on there. But if you, there's lots of information on YouTube about concealed carry. And so if you're interested in taking that responsibility, there's lots of resources out there. So have fun searching if you go down that route. So hope you enjoyed the episode. Sorry to end on a down note, but it felt more appropriate than starting on a down note. Anyways, if you like what I'm doing here, like, share, subscribe, etc. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.